Hi, Dr. Marcia here, and today I want to talk to you about how politics is causing a lot of stress for people. So we're going to be having an election in Canada in the next few days, and it's been really causing a lot of stress. People are wondering where they're going to be going to vote. They're wondering how safe it is to go to the polls, and they're just frustrated and fed up that we're having another election so soon after the last one. And we're really having to think about, the records of our various different political parties and who we're supposed to vote for. And it's really, not very fun to have to deal with this during the back to school season, during the Jewish holiday season, during, the going back to work season. There's so many things that are going on right now. The last thing we all want is having to go to vote in an election. But since it's such an important thing to do, of course, we want to be able to do it. So we really have to weigh the risks and the benefits always of, whether we're going to cast our vote or whether we're going to ignore the whole thing. Of course, the best choice is to cast our vote because who we vote in has a direct impact on other things that will stress us out, like the environment, like healthcare, like the economy, things like that. So of course, casting our vote is really a no-brainer, but it is very stressful to have to deal with an election at these times. In the United States, elections are not so much the issue right now, but what is the issue is that there's so much political polarization. So many people are fighting between wearing masks, not wearing masks, getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated, and it's really very fraught time. And in some parts of the United States, the rates of COVID infection have skyrocketed, and they're the highest ever, even a year ago. So it's very scary times, and I feel so bad for the children who are going back to school in places where they're not supposed to be wearing masks and their parents aren't supposed to be getting vaccinated, because clearly the science shows that mask use does save lives, vaccinations do save lives, and when more of the adults in the community are vaccinated, it protects the children because the rate of transmission is down. So here in Canada, I feel very fortunate because we have a good rate of vaccination, and here in Toronto, it's quite high, close to 80%. So the children who are going back to school are less at risk than, say, children in Mississippi or Louisiana in the United States. But politics is very stressful. It makes friends turn into enemies, it makes family members at odds, and it creates a lot of emotional unrest. So we have to find a way to agree to disagree or learn to tolerate one another even when we strongly disagree with one another. And that can be a very challenging thing because we can have such strongly held, even rigid political beliefs. And it seems like these days, people on different political sides they have more animosity, more hostility toward one another than ever before. I've been looking at the political advertisements in Canada lately, and they're vicious, and they never were like that. Canada tends to be more polite and more, well-behaved than other places, but lately the hate ads and the attack ads are really shocking for Canadians, and it seems like even we Northerners are, getting that kind of ugliness in our political life, and it's so unfortunate because it's not necessary. We can have different points of view, we can have different values or different belief systems without having to fight with one another. But somehow I think we've been infected by the hostility and the craziness of the United States, where people are so polarized and so really hateful toward one another. If we have different viewpoints, it's like we just don't want anything to do with one another and don't even want to listen. And of course, the most important thing for a healthy society is dialogue, is listening, is coming to some kind of consensus. But it seems like it's a very difficult thing to achieve these days. In terms of our mental health, of course, all that stress increases rates of depression, anxiety, and addiction. And so we really need to take more time for ourselves to take care of our mental well-being. We need to practice some mindfulness meditation, get out for a walk in nature or a bike ride or a jog. We need to do things that really lift our mood, like spending time with loved ones, engaging in creativity, just doing good things in our community, maybe doing some volunteer work, helping others. All those things will help us feel better and take some of the stress from the political polarization off of us so that we can just get on with our lives and feel like we're not overwhelmed by this kind of dark cloud above our heads that's called politics. We are always able to do some things. We're not able to control the situation. We can't change the political atmosphere these days, but we can certainly vote in the elections and vote for the party that we feel is most willing to listen and most willing to find consensus, as opposed to the party that's most rigid and exclusionary. And we can definitely do all that mental health self-care and all that good well-being self-care, including exercising, good nutrition, good rest, good night's sleep. All those things are things that we can do. So the things that we can do, we should do. And when we just can't do things, we need to let it go, because if we don't have control, trying to get control isn't going to help us. So when we know that there are things that we can do, and when we do those things, it really does help with our mental health, even in these crazy, very politically charged times. So I encourage all Canadians to go to the polls and vote in the upcoming election. You know, your voice matters, and what you vote for really does have an impact on your future and the future of your community. And people in the United States, I really hope that you guys can start to listen to one another, to try to be less rigid and less reactionary, and try to consider that perhaps the other person's point of view might have some merit. Maybe you don't have to agree, but you can at least learn to tolerate one another. This is Dr. Marcia Sirota talking about the mental health impact of the challenging political times, and wishing you safety and well-being.